Today, we're exploring research that reveals untapped potential in your pre shot routine and how small adjustments can unlock significant stroke improvements and greater enjoyment on the course. Dr. Stewart Cotterill's 2010 study reveals the science behind why some golfers perform consistently under pressure and exactly how you can join them. I'll show you how to optimize your approach to lower your scores and genuinely enjoy golf more. Jump to the action steps section for the specific techniques or stay with me for the full breakdown that will help you understand why these strategies work so well. Cotterill's research explains why some golfers stay calm and consistent while others struggle with frustration and high scores. More importantly, you'll walk away with specific techniques to improve both your scores and your enjoyment on the course. Cotterill's research on pre-shot routines in competitive golf identified critical performance factors that separate consistent players from those who struggle under pressure. Let's talk about the first finding. It was routine consistency. So, really, what matters here is the timing and the structure are the most important aspects of that. We'll get more into that in a minute. But again, the first finding is routine consistency, and the timing and the structure of that mattered the most. And so as we jump forward, we're going to think about that routine consistency first finding. Second finding, individual variability. The research clearly shows that generic two-player routines failed for the majority of recreational golfers. Personalization isn't optional. It's essential for performance improvement. So, this is sort of core for performance coaching, is that everything we do with our athletes is customized and individualized. And so I'm not at all surprised by this finding of individual variability. So again, finding one, routine consistency; finding two, individual variability; finding three, cognitive load. So what does that mean? Too many swing thoughts creates anxiety and hurts performance. And so again, I think there has to be some kind of rhyme or reason to what you're thinking and why you're thinking it, right? It has to be part of, excuse my simplicity, but part of your recipe, right? Part of your formula, part of your process, part of your protocol of how you approach it. Finding four, shot specific adaptation. So, what does that mean? Different shots need different mental preparation approaches. So, how you approach preparing to hit a driver on a par five is wildly different than how you prepare to hit a 4 foot putt, as an example. Next, so what's interesting about that last finding, specifically about the adaptation, or that the customization that's required, is the research shows generic routines fail, right? I mentioned this earlier. This is why our framework, what we call the BRAVR mental fortress system, is customized for each golfer. Every client's using the same principles, but know to apply them exactly the same way, right? So that's really key, I think, is if you're trying to learn a pre-shot routine and you're not considering individual variability, you're missing out. So BRAVR, which is our protocol, which I'll flip up on the screen here, the B means baseline. So we're trying to get back to kind of the beginning, if you will. And we generally leverage box breathing for that process. We go much deeper into this, obviously, as we work one-on-one with athletes, but just for today's simplicity, to keep it short, generally speaking, we're going to deploy box breathing. So 4 in, hold for 4, 4 out, hold for 4, as many times as you need until you feel regulated. The next step is reset. And so with this, we're generally clearing interfering thoughts, really focusing on acceptance of our current situation, and then deploying grounding techniques that use all of our senses to make sure that we're really present, that we're really, again, in that mindset of acceptance. This is where we are. Let's move on. The next is A for Affirm, or affirmation. This is about programming your subconscious mind for peak performance, really making sure that you're depositing self-belief, and you're using specific I am statements here that are consistent with your performance identity. The next step is visualize. My best metaphor for this is a baseball player that's standing in the batter's box. They're looking at that ball and they're reacting to what they see coming, right? And so we're trying to engage that same part of the athletic mind in the visualization step when we really make it come to life, right? So it's very real and reactionary versus, I think we can all agree that sometimes we tend to overthink, and when we overthink, we're using a different part of our brain, and that doesn't really serve what we're trying to do in that moment. So again, we're trying to engage that athletic mind with the visualization and give really precise instructions to ourselves on exactly what we're trying to do. Um, Generally, and it kind of depends on where you are in the process. If you're just trying to like recover from a bad shot, and you're not necessarily in pre-shot routine, then you might not move into like a communicate, which is the next step within visualize. It's a sub step of visualize, and that communicate is practicing the feels of what you're telling yourself you need to do, right? So you've seen it and now you need to feel it so that your body is connected to what your mind just saw. And then the last step is ready. Um, Ready is all about locking in with complete commitment. And for some people, it's a trigger word, it's a trigger phrase, it's something that's personal. Hopefully, it invokes a positive emotion for you, but ultimately, it's about making sure that you're completely committed to that shot in that moment. Now that you understand the science behind why most pre shot routines fail and how the BRAVR framework addresses each of those research findings, let's get practical. I'm going to walk you through specific techniques you can start using immediately to build your own personalized routine. So, we're going to start with, again, B for baseline. And really simple on this one, all we're going to focus on here is box breathing. And again, this assumes that you've just hit a shot you'd like to repeat and maybe in some sort of, let's call it, um, you're not at your full capacity at this moment. And so you kind of need to get back to baseline. That's the idea. And so we're going to breathe in for 4. So really simple. You're going to take a deep, deep breath in and hold it for 4 seconds, right? So that's in for 4, and now I'm holding for 4. And then I'm going to exhale, and I like to do it through my nose. And I also like to put my hand kind of on my lower abdomen or my chest as I'm going through this. I find that it personally centers me faster. And when I'm on the golf course, I like to get to baseline as quickly as I can if I find myself sort of out of that position. So again, in for 4, you can put your hands on your chest or your stomach. If you'd like to practice that right now, it'd be a good time to do that. Hold for 4 and then slowly out through for 4. And again, I like to do this through my nose. Some people like to do it through their mouth. Personalize it to what feels best for you. And then again, hold that at the end for another 4 before you repeat it. And you repeat it as often as you need to until you feel calm and centered. The next step is that reset, right? And so, what are we doing here? We're making sure that we're present and we're making sure that we accept our current circumstance. That's the first thing. And so, I like to get external. I want to feel my hands on the golf club, maybe my hands on a tree, feel the sun on my face, the wind blowing through my hair, whatever it may be. But I'm really going to try to engage my 5 senses and execute a reset, a reboot. I had one of my athletes call it the delete. He just hits the delete button. That's what he visualizes for this step. And so, again, make it personal, make it work for you. But at the end of the day, you've got to clear it out and accept where you are. And there is a sub step here. And I'm calling it a sub step because it's not for everybody. That this sub step in the pre-shot routine sense would be to this: make sure you're clear on what you're trying to do before you move into Affirm. And so where am I and what do I want to do, right? And that's that decide is what I call that. And that's a sub step of reset before you get into Affirm. And that's just to say, what's my yardage? What kind of shot am I trying to hit? Is it dry? Is it wet? Just kind of looking at all the variables to be clear on what it is exactly you want to do before you move into Affirm. And I like that because Affirm is about empowering I am statements. It's depositing self belief, but it's also giving yourself very specific instructions on what you want to do in your shot, what you want to accomplish. And so I like that decide step right before Affirm as a sub step of reset, because then it really fuels your Affirm because you're very clear on what you want to do next, right? And then that affirmation statement would be something like, I am confident I can hit a high fade 5-iron into a back right pin position. Something along those lines would be a good I am statement. The next step, once we get through that affirmation, is the visualization. And that is really, again, to engage the athletic mind. You're trying to see exactly what it is you want to have happen on this next shot. And you want to see it in real time, like you're watching a movie or like you're watching yourself do it. And when I say real time, I mean you're standing behind the ball. You're watching the ball take off from its exact spot, hit the cloud, crest on that cloud that you want it to hit on, and then drop off to the right. Again, you're hitting this high 5-iron fade into a back right pin position. You want to see it crest and then drop off to the right like a beautiful Ben Hogan fade and fall like a beanbag on that green right by the pin and roll into the hole, right? Whatever it is you're trying to visualize, do it in real time like you're watching a movie. Really engage that sense, right? Like a baseball player trying to hit a fastball coming down the middle, right? You really want to engage your athletic mind, and so the better and more specific that imagery is, it's gonna lead you down that path. The next section would be ready after that visualization. Again, I mentioned earlier there is a sub-step between visualize and ready, and it's, again, we personalize this, and so don't get confused. We're just giving you options so that you can make it your own and make it the best possible pre-shot routine. Um, the next would be communicate as a sub-step for visualize, and again, this is where you are simply giving yourself the feels, the practice swing. And it doesn't have to be full swings. It can be micro movements. A Swiss study proved that micro movements combined with visualization increases efficacy by over 30%. So if you're like, I don't want to like burn myself out and do a bunch of practice swings and get tired, you don't have to. You can do micro movements and it's just as effective. So after you do that, communicate, and you've told yourself exactly, what you want to do, how you want to do it, you're very confident in that. The next step is ready, and this is when you're ready to pull the trigger. And so you need to have some kind of trigger word or trigger phrase. It's very personal. Every one of my athletes and myself, we all have a different one. Most of the time for me, it's balance finish. That's what I think to myself, and that's kind of what I hold on to throughout my swing until I end up in my balance finish position. But again, make it personal for you. Ideally, it would elevate your mood a bit so that you would feel good, because we know we play our best golf when we feel our best. And so if that trigger word also elevated you a bit, then I think that would be a cherry on your sundae. In terms of implementation, I'd suggest you start with one element, master that element. So if you're like, yo, I'm going to play tomorrow, I'm going to play 9 holes, start with baseline. You don't have to, eat the whole elephant all at once, so to speak. Start with baseline, master that, box breathing, feel like you're calm and centered, then add in the next step. Maybe on the next round after you really feel it, or maybe it's going to take you a few rounds to get through each of these, and eventually you're going to build it out. I would also say it's a good idea to write it down so that you know exactly step by step what it is you're trying to do. So before you get into practicing it, you're super clear on what your personalized routine is. Maybe you practice it on the range a little bit before you go off so that you're going through each step and you kind of start to internalize and groove that process as you're hitting balls, you're putting, etc. And then again, I've said this a million times, I'll say it one more time. Customize this, make it fit your needs. If this was helpful, please like and subscribe and share this video with any golfer who could benefit from these techniques. At the end of the day, we all want to lower our scores and enjoy playing the game more. And I hope this video contributed to that for you. If you'd like to follow up with additional conversation, I offer a complimentary discovery session, and along with that comes a complimentary performance assessment that you'll receive via email. Check out my website, it's in my bio. I look forward to working with you.